Well, hello. This is Jeff with Final Boss. We're going to be starting by editing the GOAT. One of my friends wrote this flash fiction story. It is a uh, awesome story. I already kind of glanced over it, and I'm excited to dive into it even more. Yeah. He was the Wunderkid of his generation, drafted in the 6th round. The other Snowball and Hell's chance players. The quarterback had strutted into the team's executive offices. Drafted in the 6th round and declared that he was the best thing that ever happened to the franchise. Okay, so we got a comma here instead of a period. So there's a few. I think it's just kind of just thankfully minimal grammar things. I don't have too much of a sense of scene. I think that's kind of your intention, but I am losing a little bit. Drafted 600. So like, did this happen after? So when he the timing is a little funny to hard to grok in the sentence. Timeline is a little hard to grasp. Yeah, did it happen after he's done something good? Was it like he got drafted really poorly and it was like I'm the bomb? Maybe show me this. What's Yeah, whenever you describe something like a ghastly rib injury and stuff like that, just describe it in a way that I would be like, "Whoa, that's ghastly." Whatever that looks like. Let me just go ahead and all right. All right. Having completed all 10 passes in garbage time all season, he would go on to lead them to 3 straight playoffs. The team's first ever Super Bowl title while racking mind-boggling statistics of 400 yards per game throwing. No star in the football firmament had experienced a more brilliant birth. So I like the summary. I feel like some of the ordering in the beginning is weird. So yeah, like why didn't So I kind of need a little bit more anchoring early on, like because the problem with summary is that you're floating so fast through time that anchoring the player or anchoring. I've been working on a video game, so anchoring the reader takes a little bit of extra work in summary. So I need to know where I'm starting, where I'm finishing, exactly. And usually, and it sounds like you're doing that here, is the anchor is the timeline. So even though like this may be on a linear time, like maybe I missed, maybe this is supposed to be right after he gets drafted. He tells them he's the best thing ever. But then we say that he had languished on the bench, so that means that I need some sort of transition that keeps me really clearly on linear time. If that's the anchor. And so say, hey, he went in and then maybe they laughed him out of the room and stuck him on the bench. And then after languishing on the bench, he was thrust into. So the rest of it actually progresses well in that way. But the first few sentences, I think, are in some senses the most important because they're bringing us into the story. But secondly, they are missing a little bit of the staples that will tighten them to the anchor of the timeline. I think they just need a little bit more clarity in terms of, hey, these are fitting together in a linear time. There's no jumping around, and that's not really clear because there's like high and low points. Like going in and saying I'm the best in the franchise means I'm at a high point, and being in the snowball in hell is a low point, but those are kind of jammed together with another low point after it. So it feels like I'm jumping forward because I'm at a different emotional place. I'm at a high point now. So then having a little bit more balance in terms of like saying, hey, like he thought he was at a high point, telling them he was the best ever, but he was actually at a low point might help. All right, enough with that. So the years team lead the team repeatedly to playoffs. Pathetic, peripatetic. Man, it's not often I find a word that I just can't look like define. Peripatetic. Nomadic. There we go. That is, the roster was simply changing too much to guarantee consistency. Veteran players of the NFL joked that the acronym stood for not for long league. Yet after year with different cast, the Golden Boy would lead his team to victory. So one thing I would think about, so because this is the summary, is tense, right? So we're in the past tense, and then it's getting told from the past tense, but it's a retrospective past tense. So then he's saying the golden boy would do this in the past because it's someone present telling us the retrospective past. So we're getting a lot of these woulds and shoulds. So, one thing to try, maybe, is to bring it into the present. Do, something that kind of, because the more gummed up the verbs are by having would be, would go, was always, he is the wonder, maybe like, because it goes, he was the wonderkind of his generation, and then it goes further back. So again, this is another thing with the first paragraph, like we're jumping, this is the forward view, this is kind of the current past, and this is the distant past. Can we have man, for some reason I'm just tired, so forgive a little bit of blinking and kind of like having to shake my head. Year after year, the different guest characters in Goldwood led his team to victory. Yeah, why not just led? Because we already know. I like, oops. I like the mention of the first wife. This adds a bit of gilding to his fame. Yeah, it shows that the success is a little bit more of a mixed bag. So I like that. One thing I'm beginning to want is, his face was on every billboard, hawking swimming cream, made it up for Dancing with the Stars, and generally made his presence known. I want to get a sense of the stakes. Oops. Like what's at stake? So all we're hearing about is this guy's meteoric rise, right? Why do I want to care about this guy's meteoric rise? He's another self-indulgent football player that's making a ton of money, and I'm, struggling along, or whatever we all are, but comparatively. So like, why do I care? What's the strange attractor? What's drawing me into this person's story? And I think that's the thing I'm missing. And because it's a flash fiction, we're already getting close to a third of the way done. So I want something to kind of and obviously, like, I'm sure you can probably read some of my stuff and be like, well, I don't know what the strange attractor is, but it still is a thing that's worth really, really dialing in on and saying, okay, what is the strange attractor here? All right. I should cover his meteoric rise, or yeah, these are just some kind of silly examples, but I think it kind of speaks to the point of I need a why. I need a why this guy. I need a why this guy. At the start of his second decade in football, the analysts incessantly comment on his durability. By the end of his second decade, after he won his seventh Super Bowl, they called him the GOAT. I marvel at his longevity. He was now a decade past age when most of his college retired at the golf course, at the television booth. He was even beginning to play with the offspring of some of his teammates and play he did at the highest level, not the aging star of the bench providing veteran leadership. He was the young gun and the old veteran at the same time. God, is this guy just immortal? Is this, what's his name? I forget. Brett Favre. I like that it's starting to spin. Some of this is, I like that it's starting, like that his, immortality is starting to spin higher and out of control to worship. I want to see a little of this, awe earlier though. Um, you know, it seems that the only like special thing is the fact that he does young stuff when old. Maybe show me how his youth was even more. Because it's like, we expect the young star to win games, but, you know, was this, beyond that even? Really? Yeah, Brand really just us from the game, but we're overruled in case that. I don't know what it's considered for. We're probably telling the GOAT to retire, even as they publicly trumpeted his play. Mercifully came to him one day. It's a bit shocking. So like. Some more. Sudden things solving, or if we can hint at some more. Some more, conspiracy. Landfill by shredded the city erected a statue in front of the hall. Sports Stadium was probably renamed in his honor. Fans more zealous person. Kuchar College read the news just of his demise on its iPad. Perhaps this time he would be a golfer. So Brett Favre is Tiger Woods. I knew it. So I like it, and I think it's a fun thing to tell in summary. I think one of the things I am missing though is a little bit of the scene, like this because it's told so much in summary, it reads a lot like a news story. Where we're getting, a whole life, even though it's obviously a life that's going to continue. We're getting a whole life summed up in under 1,000 words, or whatever, was it under? Yeah, under 1,000 words. So I think it's one thing to consider would be, let's do overall. Good. I loved the, mystical twist and the, magic system hinted at. And I like the idea, from your initial line where he's like very very confident in the beginning. He's like, I'm gonna change this franchise. That yeah, Brett Favre is an evil changeling. That's true. And he took over baby Tiger Woods, that sick son of a gun. But I love the confidence he shows earlier because it indicates a lot more about this changeling character, right? Um, but I think that really is the question. It's like I kind of want to um, I want to learn more. Why sports? Why is he, so attracted? Yeah, so I think, if you do want to stay, so stuff like habitual time is really helpful. Um, and it'll give you little bits. You can add little snippets of scenes. An example would be, whatever. That's a bad example because obviously this is kind of like a different story. But you're looking to say, something something to give us like this is the the habitual time part is kind of the above bit, but I'm just trying to get a sense of like, okay, well, how does this amazing, it was fantastic character. I love the idea of like this like character is able to. I'm gonna put that in. Um, yeah, I love the power of this character is really fascinating. The ability to just totally outstrip humans. It's a fun premise. I think it's a fantastic premise. I think I just need to get the stakes, and I think some of that comes through scene. So I know why I want to care about this character. You know, is there any risk if he's found out? Why should I care about this? Yeah, so I think it's just like asking like, what's at stake for society? So let's say you want to leave the changeling relatively insulated against, the risks of being discovered or, getting experimented on, so you say, hey, maybe we don't want to go that direction. Then you have to ask, okay, well, what are the actual stakes of this story? So let's say the changeling's going to get away with it. He's strong and insulated. Then what's the risk? Is it the risk of worshiping these, athletic specimens, that are in some ways just not even human because they are just so athletically robust and strong? What's at stake for us in society? I'm gonna go ahead and turn on dark mode so I can see even better. Easy on the eyes. But yeah, I would start asking, okay, well, what, you know, is is the risk on the people watching this guy? Are they somehow putting themselves at risk by, bowing before something that's not human? Is the risk on the actual changeling? Why is the story important in some ways for me to why do I need to learn about this character? I think it's kind of the question I am left asking some. I mean, obviously it's just a great premise and it's a fun story, but it's sort of like, yeah, like why not push a little bit harder in that particular area and say, okay, well, what are the risks? What are the stakes? Why is this character important? Why do I need to follow this character? Um, yeah. And you might be able to like do some trimming, I think like, some of the the rise to fame is very standard. It can be summarized and probably like this is kind of a built out summary. Like you're taking me step through each phase, but maybe we can compress it even further. You know, the first star was a blah, the second star was a this, or the first wife was a this, the second wife was a that. You know, blast through that stuff, then you can zoom into more scenes. I would say it's sort of like make your summary more compressed, and then try to like start building certain moments out into scenes. I would say like you know, I'll put that in here. Can we compress? All right. Overall, great job. This is an awesome story. I like this one a lot. Super, super solid. Let's accept all this. Great. Great job. Great job. I liked it. The GOAT. The greatest of all time was a freaking alien. I freaking knew it. All right. So now I'm going to be jumping to. I'm going to change account here. All right. Here we go. Nice. Man, everybody's sending me these nice little tiny excerpts. It's great. Means I can go to bed before too late. All right, Kayla, a bundle of joy, and I can also just give more detailed feedback because I don't have to like worry about. Okay, well, I want to catch more of the arc. All right, Kayla, a bundle of joy. She laid in her wooden crib and extended her arms toward a small horse. All right, so one thing is a bundle of joy is a turn of phrase I've heard a million bajillion times when it refers to little baby children. So think, yeah, is there another phrasing we can use, or are we gonna have a new definition of this phrasing? Yeah. She laid her wooden crib and sat around so the small horse trinket spun overhead. How tempting it was to hand it to her, but if I did, she would not care for that trinket. She would not care for the trinket? Not sure. While avoiding gaze, I loomed over the crib and washed your hands. Yes, cat, we know you want to get pets, but you need to go somewhere else. You can't just stand around and want to get pets. That's rude, cat. My cat is such a rude beast. My cat's making weird sounds. Alright. Back to beeswax. The world keeps me away from you, but not really. From my POV, not really. She's literally Kayla. Yeah, I don't think we need to be vague, right? You know, avoid being vague and foreshadowy in the beginning of a story. Tell us the situation. And if the situation isn't compelling enough to hold our interest alone, come up with another, you know. That's kind of maybe a harsh, way of putting it. But, my goal is to try to say, hey, look, like obscuring what's actually going on is never a good idea. It's never a good idea because the reader just is like, none of this makes sense because you're hiding the logic, right? So, because she's telling me the world keeps me away from you, and then she literally a second later picks up the baby and holds it over her shoulder. I'm assuming it's a female, the speaker. It could be a male. But that immediately begs the question, which is sort of like, well, what's true? You haven't given me enough information to know how those both are held in tension. So then I just feel like it's contradictory. So it's very, very, very important to prioritize clarity. If there is some sort of weird, complicated situation going on, just tell me what it is. Just be very upfront about it. And because sometimes readers or writers hide that information because they're worried it won't be compelling enough. And if that's the case, then the situation has to change. No amount of kind of obfuscating a boring situation or a non-narratively dramatic situation will make it dramatic. So push for clarity. Clarity. Just tell me what the situation is. Damn the world. Damn Kayla. And I'm like, well, why? She literally, you've got the baby. Venture cheeks softer and heard her crash at the you made. I say that's a problem for later. I leaned over and kissed her forehead and sat in a rocking chair. Find the bear and run to attack. Who's speaking? Is it the um give me a sense of like give me something of like at least you know this is a bad example, but yeah, I mean, you want to know how those ideas kind of work together. Let me move a little faster, because I think I've kind of beat a dead horse here. The new maid exhaled its problem for later, curled under my arms, I kind of assume it's not, but obviously, that's not clear. So clarity is king. Clarity is king. I rub my head. Kalala. Yeah, I don't really know the gender of the character, of the main character. I want some indication of who this speaker is. So this is an example of Yeah, so we need some information about who this character is, what they look like, who the speaker is. Are they the mother? Are they the father? Are they some stranger? Are they male? Are they female? Are they a patron cat goddess? I don't know. Um, and obviously in a fantasy world, you do need to anchor us a little bit more than a narrative fiction. And the fact that I'm gathering that we're in a fantasy world is there's some sort of evil baron mentioned. Alright, I still got this. Sorry, the sleepiness is setting in a little bit. But that's the price of a late night stream. Bastards grouped together above my head, clutch kalala. That's Alright, I want some scene description here. Yeah, so why aren't they all freaking out? It sounds like there's some sort of attack going on where they say, "Find the Baron, we're under attack." But then everyone's, the maids are calmly gazing at the child as I rush toward a candlestick on the wall. I don't think we need this symbol. This is kind of implied. This is implied here. Pointed toward opening the door and the floor and leaning on the wall. Escape. I tilted my head and approached my son as the maids poured into the escape path. Alright. Dialogue feels a little weird. Again, who's talking? Um, I need to know. Yeah, so we need to know who's talking. And you can do shotgun dialogue, and you can have other indications of who's talking, but then the problem is you can use perigraphy for that, like how you space your paragraphs. Like, Vermont pointed the sword towards the wall, you know, and you can have it like that and have it escape. That'll imply that he said it. But if you want to leave these together, you'd be like, escape, I said, and tilted my head and gazed into his eyes. Something was wrong. Typically, Vermont would lead. He lifted his head up toward me as the maids rushed inside an escape tunnel. We're betrayed. So I had him Kayla and grabbed the sword. Again, I kind of want to get the why do I care? Yeah, so like again, I kind of want to know a little bit more of the why. We're getting so much into like, go, you go, jump over the fence. It's okay to slow down on the pros level and zoom in a little bit. I feel like which is a normal kind of impulse to say, okay, well, we need to get the next action going. We need to get the next action going. But you can pause, zoom in, give me some of the context. Remember, drama isn't just conflict. Drama is exposition plus conflict. So you have to have exposition too. You have to tell me why this person is special, why they matter, what their history was. You have to make me care through facts, through exposition. I think we're a little light on that. And I don't always ask for it to. It's a very rare thing that I'm asking for more exposition, but I just need some. And I'm not asking for a lot. I'm asking for a few little paragraphs, a few hints. At the first, you're hinting about the importance. You're not telling me. You're just hinting at all of this, she's the chosen one. That's a very trite example, but it's sort of like, well, that would mean the daughter is special. They're going to kill all the wielders. The wielders of what? All the wielders of the black sword? Why is the black sword the black sword matters so much? Those are the types of questions I think you should really start thinking about. Or at least, how can I sharpen that early on? I mean, because I'm sure you probably already have some answers to those questions, but they need to be hinted at from page one. That's why beginnings are so hard, because from page one it might just be, whatever. That's good. Who's talking? Again, we don't even know he's wounded. So again, I think it's, and this is another indication. Nano project. Hey, what up, Dragomir CM? This is not Nano. I'm actually editing for some other writers, so it's very fun. That's one of the functions of this stream, is I do free edits every couple of weeks, where writers will submit their stories. I'll give notes, hopefully in a public setting that can help. Sometimes hopefully the learnings can help benefit everybody that's watching. And yeah, so I kind of go through, give notes, and then send the videos back to the writer with the feedback to kind of help them hopefully come up with a even stronger draft the next time. Are you preparing for Nano? Yeah, the father is very dispassionate. Thank you for the sub 667. Welcome. Hope that makes as much sense as my life. My readers gave me one hell of a theme to work with. Uh-oh. So your readers are defining your NaNoWriMo project. Interesting. This is where voice comes in. What would a panicked dad sound like when he's about to give thoughts? Sound like when he's about to give his daughter away and his son is dying. He's acting very he's acting very calm, like he's not showing the physical or mental signs of distress. This is a very, he's delivering. So, like, this is an example. Can't think of anything I'd recommend as highly. All right, maybe I'll do that this weekend. I've been wanting to watch Parasite. Maybe I'll do that on Saturday. I heard it was amazing. I love that guy's films. Snowpiercer is one of my favorite movies. All right, Parasite. I'll find it. Well, then you gotta watch Jojo Rabbit because that's one of the movies I've enjoyed most recently. All right, so it's Tonestown. Maybe I'll watch it on Friday. Hope it's still out. Spell it for me, Jojo Rabbit. It's there you go. That's what. Well, there's the trailer. Yeah, I think in this one, try writing an exercise. Try a writing. I just wrote this down, but try a writing exercise where you write a panic person's thoughts, and maybe that same person when they're sleepy, and maybe that same person when they're grumpy. You know, those types of things, and just really exaggerate how those thoughts come out on the page, and maybe their observations, how it skews their observations. You know, yeah, I mean that's like the most important thing with voice is like, if I'm really angry at someone, when I look at them, I'm gonna see all the bad things. I'm gonna say, oh, I'm really mad at that person. Look at them just scratching their head like some idiot. You know, that's an example of voice, right? Is taking that character's using the way that character is perceiving to inform the evocative details, right? That's kind of the next step beyond showing and telling, which is saying, okay, so first I'm going to dive into scene, I'm going to show that scene, and then second, when I'm in that scene, and if I'm in a close third person or a first person, the way that scene is experienced is going to change based off who that character is and the emotions of the character. So the senses, because our senses are subjective, so the sensory details are going to change along with, you know, the character's thoughts, obviously, and then the stream of consciousness kind of reporting that you're going to give, those types of things. That's really, really important. I would really practice. I would, as silly as it sounds, I would do this exercise. I would really, really do it. Don't get lost in your own mind. So like, again, this is a lot. Just like, all right, just Father, go. So now we know it's a male. I think it's the first time. Oh wait, no, we hear Father here. This is the first time I'm hearing. This is the first time I confirm the speaker is male. All right, I'm gonna go a little bit faster because it's getting late, and I want to make sure I try to continue this little section. Those guards drenched in blood. Okay, so going the title of warrior one last time. Lifeless guards held the line. Not sure. I'm not sure exactly how this fits in because I thought he was getting separated. I thought the father was getting separated from his daughter. This seems like he's intending to stay close. Not sure about the character's goals. Miak, hello, hello. Great to see you. Welcome, welcome. I had myself an editing gig that I finished up last night. Got paid $100 for it. Congratulations. Well done. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that writers are helping writers out there. That's fantastic. Stuff my coat with golden trinkets, toss the treasure, cross the treasure room, and pull an old lever. Yeah, I feel like this, so I need a little bit of push your pros a little bit, these currently. This is bad dialogue, This is, but you know what I mean. Brianna, hello, hello, welcome, welcome. Good to see you. I'm coordinating freelance, getting into freelancing, though I'm not sure what steps I need to take. Nice, nice, that's awesome. Everyone is doing good. Great to see you, Brianna. How are you? Hopefully having a nice evening. And thank you for the host. Thank you for the host. It's getting a little late for me, so I may be hitting the sack in a few minutes, but I got a little bit of juice left to wrap up this edit and kind of talk through just a few general things I'm noticing with this particular work. Clutched Layla as a red mist flowed down the rooftop. Air flowed from below and pushed me in the red haze of my home. Everything melted. My son will be burned alive, solely guards. Um, give me, remember, evoke with more than imagery. When you're evoking your scene, you know, push to use the other senses besides sight. How does this red? Is it hot? Cold? So there's an any lingering attachments to this world. Doing good. It's morning here. Well, good morning. I'm scrambling to catch up with NaNoWriMo. It's a thing. Uh-oh. Racing the clock. Racing the clock. Yeah, I'm not participating this year. But I respect those who are. Just been a crazy time of life. So it's been one of those years, I guess. So many things this year. Yeah, I mean, I think everyone, to answer your question, Miyak, I think everyone's path to freelance editing is different. So I don't know if there is a straight path. A lot of people get certified. A lot of people will go through a certification program to make sure they're delivering the best service they can. Are you editing in Google Docs? I am editing this one in Google Docs. Yeah, a lot of like the ones because this is for somebody else, so a lot of like the live edits I do here, I do in Google Docs just because it's a little easier for, if I was to do a detail edit, I'd probably do it in Word. Um, and Google Docs sounds cute though. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Dragomir. Good luck with the nano. Yeah, I know you. It sounds like you both are putting your noses to the grindstone. That's awesome. Yeah, years like that are a thing too. Yeah, it happens. It happens, doesn't it? Such is life. It always has its ups and downs. Um, but that's awesome. I'm so excited to hear you're doing Nano, and I'd be excited to see what you come up with. What's the premise? Do you have a log line or a same with you, Dragon Mirror? Anybody else doing nanos? Anybody got log lines they want to share? It's cleared away. In its place, a pile of broken rocks. And a black cellar remained. Appeared. Escaping with the maids is impossible. If I went back to the city, I would be okay. Hold on, hold on. I thought they already escaped. Only before to see that black thing. I kissed Kayla and I slowly approached the cellar. It smelled of my legs buckled, but Kayla did not fall. Man, okay, so this world. All right, in the other story, aloof, ambitious, Silas, and Timon and Siphon would not be the heroes, but in this story they aren't either. When the actual heroes suddenly need rescuing, it's up to them to set up their game. Nice. So, have you read this story called NPCs? Reminds me a little bit of that, where like a group of adventurers all get wiped out in the initial tavern, and the NPCs in the D&D world have to step up and take care of whatever's going on. My main character is Silas too. Nice. I need to get a bit of world building done. Then I can proceed to plot focus themes and story ideas. Focusing afterwards, all about taking all the above and writing down the plot lines for each chapter before a small summary, if you will. From there, it's just a matter of writing it down. True story, Dragon. True story. Yeah, I do a scene by scene outline usually. Helps a lot. Helps a lot. I do a lot of basic log lines and basic things. I'm actually going to be working on a scene by scene outline for my novel probably tomorrow. We'll see. Okay. Though life was void, greetings. Welcome to the city of revival. The cube flew back into the air. City? How is he? I thought he was in his house still. Alright. Bookfish undercover. Undercover bookfish. But here's a logline to a different one I'm doing to morph. Anamorphs X choke. An a-hole of a sex editor suffers from ED catches an STD and gives them his ability to transform any that gives him the ability to transform. With his newfound power, drive him to become a better person or send him spiraling to a void of hedonism. Just a rough one for now. Nice, nice. I'll be reading Redemption Arc, yeah. I also wonder how, like, why an STD that gives you a superpower would be considered a disease. Wouldn't it be like an STA, a sexually transmitted advantage? I wonder. Yeah. The other question is why this character? Why does that character, deserve this amazing gift? There's a bad side, okay. Or why does that character deserve this curse that they have to overcome? And I think you'll probably figure that out. Just like why that character, why this time in their life? Why? My main question is how. Well, we can't have erotic fiction on stream, so getting into the details of how might not be appropriate. um, on the City of Revival, the clue flew back into the black cellar. I trembled to reach for the cold black handles and pulled. But the world could not move these metal doors. Is the voice coming from again, yeah, like we just need clarity. We need clarity. Take the time. Take the time to just tell me, like, is the voice coming from the cube? Or is there a person in the cellar behind the main character? Alright. Love the last phrase, though. Alright. Overall. The good, the improve. Maybe I'll make those both. So I'm going to go with the improve because it's still hot on my memory. Voice. We need to do scene description. Clarity above all. Alright, the good. I love the world building. It had a vivid... How would probably also be a spoiler territory, it's true. It's first person extremely NSFW. I forgot what NSFW means. It means not safe for work, so it probably has some graphic descriptions of could be violence, it could be sexual themes, it could be, anything that's like R-rated and above is an easy way to think about it. Or maybe like above R-rated. I don't really know. Maybe it's kind of in that territory. But yeah, I mean those, fiction, erotic fiction. There's a few people who've watched the stream that have that are writers of erotic fiction. They've done very well. Um, there is a very very avid market for it. For those who love the world building, had a vivid feel. I like the idea of this this special daughter being rescued from yeah, I think like the construction of this scene is nice. Like like the scene construction works. Um, I feel like mine is anti-erotic fiction. He does have ED. Oh, I see. So it's just kind of like graphic then, and just kind of like in a more depressing way, or not depressing, but in a more like not built to be you know uh have that pizzazz to be more of kind of like a dark story, sort of like Joker, where there's a lot of this like graphic imagery in the Joker movie, but it kind of has more of a negative bent. Now, do other scenes that you can actually write 14 plus erotica scenes that are more or less a painting in words with confusing metaphors and various writing tricks. That's true. That's true. It's probably true. So I guess there are people who have like PG-13 erotica. Man, there must be parents. There must be so. It's a lot of word juggling. That is a lot of word juggling. That's kind of surprising. Yeah, George R. R. Martin. I feel like just on language alone, that would probably exclude it because he has a lot of just very very bad language in it. But so I felt like that would rate it high because you just don't have that many f bombs. Oh, curses are okay. Let's say and grotesque. Nice. Don't know. Oh, interesting. Huh. All the rules. I remember of Martin's books is that he implies more than he shows. Yeah, that's true. He's pretty. He has a pretty. Yeah, he's not super graphic. The violence is pretty. That's another thing. The violence in those books is very, very, very graphic. Even in the books, if I can't remember, because he's talks about brains and all these very graphic violence imagery. So it's interesting. Surprised because those are adult novels. Like I don't know if I'd want like some like 13-year-old cranking through Game of Thrones. That may just be a little rough. But I guess that's what 13-year-olds try to do. Is they try to find books that have you know as much crazy stuff as they can find. Um, a lot of characters. The tone of a lot of the characters' thoughts and um, yeah, it needs to clean up. Yeah. And we do need clear dialogue tags. We pause the flow of your action a little bit to tell us about the room, what the characters are seeing, smelling, tasting, hearing, feeling, touching. I want, uh, I'd encourage you to try to work all 5 sentences in your next revision of this scene and add a lot more with each. Add a of scene description to help, at the beginning of each, scene shift. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to send you, and you guys are going to roll your eyes at me. This is for the writer. Is I wrote a blog post about a method of using a highlighter to kind of get a sense of how professional writers who have published their novels are pacing their prose. So picking a book you like, highlighting the different types of prose that are in there. And yes, sometimes it's confusing and tricky to know which one is which, but that might actually be beneficial in some ways because forcing yourself to define, okay, what's a scene description, what's action, what's interiority, what's free and direct discourse, that might actually really help you uh, develop your understanding of those individual types of speech. So I'm going to pop this in here as a recommendation for you, Mr. Writer, or Mrs. Writer, or Z Writer. And this is the blog for you folks. Adult doesn't mean 18 plus, yeah. Kids are used to a lot too. My publisher was selling my debut novel because I wrote it entirely clean with a target audience of 10 plus all the readers older than 8. Thought my story was boring. Oh man. Kids are used to a lot these days, man. I guess I'm as long as you use the word, you can make the scene 12 plus. Interesting. It's okay. Yeah. Those mean 18 plus. Most of the times, 90% of the cases, authors wrongfully place their books in the 18 plus category and they barely make it past the 14 plus line. Wow. It's a category for bookshelves. Lol. Yes, for example, Amazon has very strict rules regarding this. Interesting. Yes, yes. It's adult fantasy. It has basically zero sex. Yeah, so then maybe that's 14 plus, even though the audience. So maybe it's like the content rating, or like the explicit content rating is 14 plus, but you still intend it for like a adult audience that can kind of understand the more complex themes. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, gosh, I don't know. I mean, my reading comprehension was not that good when I was that age. Like it took me a long time to kind of become an avid reader and to like really understand what I was reading. And maybe just because I was like a little bit more ADD and all over the place as a kid. Um, so I kind of like take my hat off to these people who these kids that read all these advanced books. 'Cause I would just be like, like you know agnostic of whatever graphic contents in Game of Thrones. Like I don't know if my 14-year-old self would have been able to read that and understand what was going on. Like I would just be like, it's confusing. There's these like White Walker people. I don't get it. Like it would just make no sense to me at that age. And maybe I also was like, it was a little harder for me to like figure all that stuff out when I was that age. So that could be maybe just a factor of my glitchy brain. um, could have all, yeah. So there were a few moments where it felt. All right. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah. You choose it, but it's not okay to put an 18 book in the 14. That's a good way of thinking about it. If it has zero health description, no traumatic cycle, that could be cause mental harm. It's okay to put the 14 plus, 16 plus. Debates on, yeah. I don't understand these categories. How I've never seen books separated like that. To read Game of Thrones when I was like 15ish, and I DNF'd it. I don't know what that means. Didn't finish it. Did not finish it. Feeling really confused. DNF did not finish. Adult middle, yeah, they're not something a traditional writer worries about. The print worries about them. Ah, I see. So many names everywhere and things happening. That's true. The publisher. However, if you self-publish, you need to know them, as both Amazon and Smashwords and the other sites require info because they filter content based on age. It's a question on my alpha beta feedback form. What genre or age category do you think this? Oh, that's a good idea. That's actually a really great idea for a beta feedback form. Might take that question. It's also required so you as an author know what audience to target. Yeah, it's also, yeah, targeting in your advertising. Well, it's 1:14, dear folks. I think I'm heading to bed because I'm exhausted. But thank you so much for hanging out. I mean, it's so wonderful seeing all three of you, all four of you, because I think Miyok was here a little bit earlier. Oh, I see. Did not finish. The question is also when the traditional publisher will ask of you, night boss. Yeah, night guys. Keep chatting away. I'll leave. I mean, chat stays on, so it's always just great to see that y'all are connecting and talking about awesome writing stuff. It's always just great to hear that everybody's doing NaNoWriMo and going full steam ahead. Going full steam ahead. Thank you guys for stopping in, man. I wish I was not just deadbeat tired right now, that I could stay up a little bit later and chat with y'all further. But yeah, lack of sleep and running around, starting this chess app has has uh has caught up with me. So if you guys like chess, speaking of which, if you guys like chess, check out our chess app, chesspuzzleblitz.com. Otherwise, I'm heading off to bed. I'll see you all very soon. Have a great evening. Bye.